Hello and welcome to What We Are Watching. I'm Catherine.
I'm Liz.
And I'm Ed.
And John.
Okay, so Liz, I imagine since we haven't had you in a little bit, other than when we talked about Downton Abbey /
Maverick.
Maverick. I was like, what was
Top
that
Gun
other
Maverick.
movie that I did not see? Maverick. You're right.
It flew right past you.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I imagine you have a bunch of stuff you want to update us on that you've been watching.
Yeah, I think you've covered some of it, so I'll be really quick.
A briefish update.
Yeah,
But I do want to know what you're watching and what you thought of it. So
I am all caught up on Stranger Things and
Oh,
cannot
yeah.
wait for in only a few weeks
It's
the
like-
second part.
Right, two
of season
more.
4.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there's been an announcement that there's going to be season 5 because I do feel like we are rapidly approaching. I'm not going to do any spoiler alerts, but a lot of things should be tied up if handled accordingly.
Maybe. But it also is one of those things like they can always come up with new problems. But we'll see. Yeah, I don't think there's been.
Seriously, how long did 90210 stay in high school?
Eventually they had to go to
No,
college.
they're all aging. It's just more so that the Upside Down, it's getting revealed of why it might even been created and opened and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And so, but I'm very excited.
Yeah, it was good.
There are rumors that someone's going to be killed in this.
Is that I
And
saw?
I am.
I just
Everybody's like, no to Steve. Like, can't kill Steve.
don't kill Steve.
I would say don't kill any of them.
Don't
I don't
kill.
know
There's
what
no reason to. You don't need to. Yeah, I saw a meme that was like what do they call it when they do letters on a billboard, but not like a painted real billboard, like whatever that is, and it said Netflix, someone's gonna die or something like that. I was like, what is this even referring to? Uh-oh.
I
All
don't
right.
know. No.
Like the Netflix is a joke type of billboard or something like that?
No, I mean, it didn't feel official at all. It felt like, almost outside of school or a church. It was like, spoiler, someone's going to die. But it didn't even say what show or anything. So I was like, what is this about? All right, so sorry. Anyway, go on.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I'm excited about that. Barry.
Oh, Barry, yeah.
Now, I mean, very quickly, just my fave, Henry Winkler, man.
Oh, he was astonishing. Yeah, he's so good.
He just had a couple moments that were just, I think he's up again for an Emmy for his role. And I think Sally better be nominated this time around. But, that has been announced, right, John, that there is a next season? I think we discussed it.
No, this is Catherine's favorite thing to say.
Yeah, my favorite thing to say, that it has been picked up for season 5, and Bill Hader's going to direct all the episodes, which I have said this before. He's been directing, but not all. So it's interesting that they're like, no, season 5, all the episodes he's going to direct. Which, look, it left it in a weird spot. So who knows what Barry is even going to be up to. It was dark. But yeah, Sally's character, she's so good because it's so hard what she's doing. She's so unlikable. I mean, just everything she does is wrong, and she does such an amazing job.
Yeah. So, loved Barry, excited for season 5. And then The Man That Fell to Earth.
Yeah, we're watching that. Eric and John and I are watching it together.
I think it's a much better rendition than the movie that you and James were going to star in as the children. And the children in this have no lines either and are wearing weird eye contact lenses.
I did notice that when it came up. I was like, oh, yeah, that would have been James and I had we actually done it. But yeah, same contact eye weird
no
thing happening.
lines,
Yeah,
just weirdness.
I'm just thinking about my family, and here's some images of
And my
them.
quick take on that is Rob Delaney, once he entered,
It was.
I think
yeah.
it took a whole nother level. I also love the woman, Sonia Cassidy, I think is her name, the actress that plays his uptight sister, that they own the company Origin. Their family business. I mean, they are great characters.
They are fantastic together. She is from my fave, Lodge 49. That's where I know her from. And I think she's British. But yeah, she's fantastic. And what was the actor's name playing the brother?
Rob Delaney.
He's,
as soon as he came in, I feel like it went up a notch.
Well, it also changed the vibe a little bit because
Yeah, I
he
just
brings such a, even if it's dark and tragic, he brings such comedy with his timing, and he's such a train wreck. He's so great.
He also, because you have the main character that, spoiler alert, the man that fell to earth, there's an alien. Okay. So, and the first sort of human he has contact with or reaches out to, Naomi Harris, that's the actress's name, real name. Her constant sort of not getting on board with this is an alien, this is happening, help out.
Yeah.
Gets frustrated. So when Rob Delaney comes in, you're like, hell yeah. Because he's like, holy shit, this is an alien. What are we going to do? it was more how you felt like you'd react. I mean, her sort of constant, like, begrudgingly accepting her circumstances, helping the alien, it almost gets tiresome.
Yeah.
So
I liked his whole take on what it would mean for fusion energy, cold fusion energy to happen.
Yeah.
He has this, it's like a monologue, a quick little thing where he's like, this will happen, 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 then this will happen, then this will happen. Oh, we're on the brink of the whole world falling apart if this happens. I was like, oh my God. I mean, I don't know if he's supposed to be like a risk assessment type of character. Like, is that his thing? But it was like, wow.
Is he supposed to be some kind of risk assessment? That is exactly
That's what he is.
Oh, do they say that? I mean,
Kind of,
obviously.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was like, is he just a lawyer for the company? I don't know what his deal is. I was not paying attention, I guess, fully, but I did get that vibe.
So Rob Delaney is my shout out.
Yeah,
and that
he's
is
amazing.
on Showtime for those of you who are interested. And obviously Stranger Things is on Netflix. And Barry is a HBO. Now, that is catching up with you guys. What I currently just watched or digested, I've been on a Mormon tear, man.
What is a Mormon tear? I know that there are like some documentaries that are
I don't know what
popping, but-
happened going back 3 or 5 years ago. The Mormons just, the documentary, now we're getting all of them. So I've watched Murder Among the Mormons. These are all Netflix, by the way. So Netflix is like, man, if we had
They're
all
buying into it.
If we had pitched a Mormon documentary 2 or 3 years ago, we would currently have it airing because they were
really into it.
Really into it. So, sorry, once again on Netflix, Murder Among the Mormons, which was fascinating.
Got it.
Keep Sweet, Pray and Obey.
That
Disturbing.
Okay, that one I saw the trailer for. That's the one I was thinking of.
That's really the LDS, but the sect that basically broke off and formed their own ultra conservative,
Which is also a lot of polygamy marriages and
underage.
Yeah.
It's insane. And then also Our Father, which was about this OBGYN who used his own sperm to basically, I think it was like the last count, like 60 or 80 children or something crazy.
Yikes.
So very fascinating. The documentaries are all done very well, very different stories. Murder Among the Mormons is so good. It's about forged documents and murder, and the suspect is very surprising. So all the, I don't know why, they're all documentaries, they're on Netflix. So if you're curious, but this group of people is believing all of this, and they really are. I mean, they'll take one scripture and turn it into a whole faith. Is wow. And how certain members of it can warp it out. So, and then I watched 2 movies on Netflix, which, this is also interesting what's happening on Netflix, because you have movies that have A-list celebrities.
Top tier
Everything.
Yeah.
They really should be in the movie theater. They should have full marketing behind them so that they just don't like come and go within a week.
Like a blip.
Yeah. So we watched Spiderhead.
Ooh, I watched Spiderhead too. Yeah.
Yeah. So that has Chris Hemsworth in it.
Well, that's why I, bought in instantly.
Yep.
I'm like, wait, what? Okay.
And I mean, that's an A-list. And Miles Teller, same thing. Mm-hmm. It's sort of a sci-fi.
Yeah, I'd
little
say,
bit of
dystopian,
psychological.
Yeah. The idea being prisoners are living in a facility and they're being used to test emotionally altering drugs, I guess.
Right.
So Chris Hemsworth is playing the doctor who's...
Evil Island, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, do you feel like this doesn't feel like it's a production timing like drop? It's a summer release per usual with the big star, but then they're riding the coattails of Thor and Top Gun Maverick. All of theirs is promoting Miles Teller and Chris Hemsworth. So if you got a movie with those 2 guys in it, you don't need to advertise. People are already aware of both of them, and they'll just like find your thing on Netflix anyways.
Yeah, and it kind of nestled right in between the two.
Yeah.
So it was post Maverick and pre Thor.
But that is a movie that,
But it totally should have had its own full-blown campaign.
should be in a movie theater, quite honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, thank you, Netflix. Was happy to watch it at home on my own platform. But, that's where we're questioning sort of what's now happening with the structure of the business, where you're like, it got made, it's out to be digested and watched. But at the same time, it's like, we want people to go to the movie theaters. So, we don't need to just be the big platform movies. It's like, this to me could have been in the movie theater. And because of what you said, Ed, Miles Teller and Chris Hemsworth being huge A-list celebrities, this
People would have gone, maybe.
People would have gone.
And weirdly, Netflix not adopting that model right now. Netflix, I hope you're listening to this podcast. You should, because we're very, very critical, and we love all of the shows that we talk about. But why not? get these into the theaters? Why not have a theatrical release and another revenue stream? Why not have another revenue stream? If you love something at home, I'd go pay in a movie theater my entire monthly subscription as a single ticket, and 10 of us would go. Come on, do it.
I don't know. I'd be interested to see the logic behind it. I mean, obviously, to market into a movie theater requires, a different level. I don't know if they even did any press for this. I mean, I don't think I saw it.
No, other than in their own. I mean, I know that they did some press because I saw some on the entertainment shows that they did a junket, so there were some interviews out there.
All right.
But there wasn't like the trailer running on TV, and there wasn't billboards that I saw. I mean, this level of distribution is different to just plop it on Netflix.
But to get back to actually the movie, Chris Hemsworth is just... I love him. He is so talented. The maniacal, yet with the backstory that he built, which I'm not going to blow, of maybe why he feels like these controlling drugs that he's trying to create really could helpful, was fascinating. He's so charismatic.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
And then he really was able to also play like a maniacal person.
Well, it was fun because there was a lot going on because, they're testing emotional drugs. So there's like a whole component of like, he's actually on a little bit of a roller coaster himself. So he, as an actor, got to do all sorts of fun stuff that were like, a nice range.
Beautifully shot. I mean, the location, the aesthetics of it, fantastic. So
it was funny.
I highly recommend it.
Yeah, me too. I was just going to say about the location, it did feel a little bit like this is a good movie to shoot in a pandemic because you're out on this island. It's a really limited cast. You probably could create a bubble around the cast and crew and shoot this movie. It was very contained in that sense.
The way that they layered in what in humanity is an emotion that can control people, which is guilt or shame, I thought was really fascinating because it can force people to make choices or they feel like they have no choice. That was the main characters, some of their driving, why they felt like they deserved in some ways to be punished or were no longer worthy of love was, I thought, great. And we watched as a family, so I would say like 14 to 16 age appropriate enough. There's some adult content, but it is very enjoyable. And the other Netflix movie that I watched.
Oh, wait, before you move off of Spiderhead, I just want to shout out Journey Smollett, who plays like the love interest. She was amazing. I know her from Lovecraft.
Yeah, we watched Lovecraft and I loved it and I loved her in it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like she's a good sort of badass, running, fighting, emotional.
She's got a good physicality.
Yeah, she's got a good physicality as an actress, the way she carries herself. And I thought her character, like what I just spoke of about sort of guilt and shame and self-loathing was her arc was really interesting. And how you hide sometimes who your true self is because you're afraid you're unworthy of love.
Yeah.
So
it was really good.
Yeah.
It wasn't even out maybe a couple of days before I was like, oh yeah, I need to watch that.
Yeah, same here. But like I said, I mean, I might have made it to the movie theaters, but like what, John?
Just a reminder, Netflix does release some movies to the movie theaters.
They do for sure, because otherwise you can't get nominations for Oscars. You had to have had a theatrical release. So they are playing that game, but it always feels like it's a very small and technical reason that they're doing it. They're not like embracing like, we also want to have a full distribution arm in theaters. But you're right, John.
And you're forgetting, I mean, the whole world could come to the Pacific Palisades, to the movie theater that Netflix bought and puts their movies in, including Spiderhead right now.
Is that their trick? They have one theater that they always put it in for sure?
Two separate things.
Oh, okay. All right. Two separate things.
Oh.
I did not realize they had a theater in Pacific Palisades.
As far as I know, one theater.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
not helpful. But
not super convenient.
Yeah. Well, all right. The other movie that I watched with Netflix, sort of the same, maybe didn't have a small theatrical release, was Hustle. Now, the Adam Sandler basketball movie. Loved it.
It looked really good.
Loved it. He was great in it.
John and I and our younger nephew the other night, and I think my notes on it were. Hold on, let me see if I can get the notes. It's Fun Jerry Maguire meets Uncut Gems. It's kind of like,
sure,
boy, that is not working out the way you're trying. You've been trying that for a long time. So it's like that hustle level that he's so good at. But then, the whole basketball side of it was very enjoyable.
Oh, yeah. And first of all, Robert Duvall right out of the gate. in his blue
yeah.
suit. I'm like, love you. Not gonna spoil alert. Like, he's not throughout the entire movie. Ben Foster, I thought was, his bald maniacal.
Is he like the team owner or something?
He basically takes over for his father. Yeah. He
I
was
see.
great. Okay. No, I thought it was very well done. Adam Sandler did a great job. It's sort of an underdog, Rocky type of story. And you do not have to be a basketball fan to enjoy it at all.
And the guy playing the basketball player that he finds, Juancho Hernan Gomez from Spain, he was unbelievable. I mean, just in the trailers that I saw and stuff, I was like, first of all, stunningly handsome dude. Like, what?
I mean, that reason alone, you're like, well, you're not hard to look at. That's for sure. And then he had tons of basketball players play themselves throughout, which added extra flavor. I mean, it looked completely legitimate. He was obviously granted huge access to sort of the NBA world. And listen, he might have benefited from COVID and the shutdown, and maybe that was why
people were available,
available, or he was able to have access because it was a little more controllable because crowds were not as big. I don't know when he shot this, but it had to be in the last 2 years because he's got this deal with Netflix. I think this is another one. Should have been in the movie theaters.
It feels like a big movie, but then of course Adam Sandler has a deal with Netflix, so that's...
And it's great, for your whole family, I think, truly, and especially if your kid likes sports in any way. It talks about the commitment and the sacrifice that you have to make, and really also just the odds of making it to a professional level is just shocking. Well, I mean, just it's beyond winning the lottery. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So even if you're incredibly good, I mean, that's the other part of it.
Yeah. So I don't know, you guys, since you boys both watched it, some of your input?
What, me? I thought it was really good. I had avoided seeing anything about it, so I didn't really understand what I was getting to, but it was such a great window into the sports world, and there was that movie kind of, 5-10 years ago, Draft Day with Kevin Costner about the NFL and the draft, but it was also done in that like a 24-hour period of as the draft is starting, or really probably almost a 12-hour period. So it's again about the draft, but NBA, but then it's also kind of a 7-month version and focusing on, instead of the whole league, just, one person who's not even really working for a team, and then one athlete. And so it was a different view that really brought home what it takes and what's happening and the different steps and how challenging it can be. It was, and I mean the access they had to the NBA was crazy, and just it makes it so real, and it was really enjoyable. However, not as an NBA fan, it was challenging to identify people. But also,
it kind of doesn't matter.
Well, it's tough because, as a slightly sports fan, you want to recognize them. But then even the lead guy, it was well, having not seen you play, it's totally easy to take you as this character. So that was helpful.
Mm-hmm. And one of the rules that they discuss in the movie is that basically 22 is your cap out to get
Which
in.
I need to understand why.
Why? Why is that? That seems ridiculous.
I don't know, but then that's why the time element with this lead character became a real push. And there's a great opening scene where Adam Sandler's character questions someone's age, and it's just they're just...
Well, the Dallas Mavericks think he's 18.
Oh, yeah, for sure, with a 12-year-old son. They both are, 7 feet tall. So, I mean, just Adam Sandler does a great balance of humor, heart, and at the same time, his bewildered, bedraggled, he just always put upon, oh gosh, just Queen Latifah plays his wife in it, and I thought that was very interesting, cool casting.
Yeah.
Unexpected. They had good chemistry, so okay, great. The director, Jeremy Zager, I think that's how you pronounce his name. That's only his second film under his belt. So I was to
good for
take
him.
all this on. I'm sure maybe he did shorts and things like that, but I think I can only find 2 films.
Ooh, and he's from South Philly, so I'll bet you he's a mega fan of the Sixers.
Probably.
Yeah, tons of shorts. He's been working hard.
Yeah, but kudos. I thought he pulled off all the layers of this in a very well constructed balance. It made me want to go to Philly and get a cheesesteak. And it made you...
One bite. I got to try each one.
Yeah, that was, I mean, the whole cheesesteak thing, they did not spend enough time on, so don't even.
We'll have to ask our friend Davo. Be like, okay, Davo.
What did you think?
Yeah, he has opinions about what's the best Philly cheesesteak. But all right, so that was on Netflix. So those are the two movies, Spiderhead and Hustle. I mean, I've been watching tons, so I'll catch us up on more next week. But I highly recommend both Spiderhead and Hustle. And like I said, Hustle, I think, is almost for the whole family is watched. You know, I don't really feel like there's that many adult themes or anything in there that you couldn't watch with almost like an 8-year-old and above, especially if they're interested in basketball or sports. Spiderhead is like, you know, depending on your kid, it's like mid-teens and up.
Yeah. It was good though, man.
Oh, I
Spiderhead
loved
was good. Okay, John, you almost always go last, so guess what? You're up.
Oh, okay, fine. So, yeah, speaking of movies in the theater, I did go see Jurassic World Dominion.
Oh, gosh, yes. I'm so mad. Ethan went to go see it without us. So I don't know if I'm going to get to see it till
later.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so yes, I mean, look, you need to see it, Liz.
In a theater?
Look, see it where you want to see it. I don't know, I guess.
No, but if you're saying there are movies I do think just
really are sold by
Yeah.
being in.
Yeah.
It feels like in the genre of you should go see this. This is a big budget effects one. Any Jurassic Park it hits that mark because it's like the original one. You got to see that dinosaur 50 feet tall.
Yep. Okay.
I will say, I do feel like, because I also recently watched Jurassic Park 2, which I had never seen before, even though we talked about Jeff Goldblum on Huge Fans. I didn't watch it before that, but then I've watched it now, so hey, whatever.
Didn't you watch it with Davo? You both hadn't seen it?
We both had not seen it. And look, it's a little trippy because, it's all been so long that you think that, oh man, this movie, nobody loved it, whatever. And it's like, oh no, it's still pretty good.
Well,
we
the
liked it a
second
lot.
one was with
Julianne Moore and Vince Vaughn.
Oh, yeah.
And William H. Macy.
No, that's Jurassic Park 3.
Yep. Tia Leone, who is so
Also-
irritating in number 3. It's
Number
like,
3.
Stop using a megaphone on the island with dinosaurs. They will find you. But
Yeah. And I had seen Jurassic Park 3 before, and I do like Jurassic Park 3. But so now Jurassic Park 2, I mean, it was good. It was good enough. Look, Julianne Moore and Vince Vaughn in their remake days. This wasn't Psycho. This was slightly more enjoyable, though both not the actors you see now. But whatever. It's a 90s movie. It's fine. So now coming back to this one, Jurassic World Dominion. Part of why I brought up the old ones was because I swear that T-Rex, I don't know how big it's supposed to be because the original Jurassic Park, that thing has got to be
It's
30 feet
humongous.
tall.
Yeah, it's huge.
And now it's like, is it 16 feet tall? And why are all the other dinosaurs taller than it? What's going on?
Oh.
The T-Rex is constantly, it happens.
B.D. Wong, blame him. The mad scientist.
always-
It's his fault.
Why do they
always
always
blame-
make it bigger?
Except the T-Rex. Though, thankfully, like Jurassic Park it's become a theme that although now the T-Rex is surpassed with some new, more exciting dinosaur, he still manages to do what's necessary. So,
He's still the old school badass.
yeah. And apparently it was funny. I looked this up later because it was like, well, how many islands are there? I don't understand. You keep saying the names.
Island chain.
The 5 deaths. But they only actually ever visit 2 of them because, right, you have Isla Nublar and then the second one is Isla Sorna. Site
What?
B.
I can't even believe you know this.
You just watched it.
I know, but still.
Catherine, it's not Marvel. There are only 6.
Okay, you could do it.
Yeah, now there are 6. So anyway, there are only the 2 islands. You see like, okay, now there's a different set of T-Rexes on the other island. So now theoretically all the T-Rexes are together and they weren't killing each other. So it's cool.
It's like a T-Rex family.
Yeah.
What is it? The Land Before Time?
Okay, strike that. We're not going down that road. So anyway, look, the other fun thing is, is it a perfect movie? No. Is it as good as...
Wait, the new one you're talking about. Okay.
Jurassic World Dominion. Is it as good as Jurassic Park or Jurassic World, which were kind of near perfect? Not quite. Look, you're not introduced to a new park. It just doesn't work. It's not as fun. But this last one, they are wrapping up like every single storyline. Really, it's kind of amazing when you're like, oh, we're dealing with this now. And here's... Because, we all know that... Dr. Ellie Sattler and Dr. Alan Grant are back.
Yeah,
So
I'm
that's
excited about
important.
that. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, well, obviously, and Dr. Ian Malcolm, the chaotician.
Which you need him.
Yeah. No,
He's been in most
Did you say
of
chaotician?
Yeah, he's not a mathematician. He's a chaotician.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
Wait,
I mean, I know he talks about chaos, but I didn't remember that it had an actual name.
Catherine,
Okay.
this is your
All right.
rewatch problem. When's the last time you saw Jurassic Park, the first one?
Just the original time.
Oh, my, that's...
I have probabably watched it in pieces 25 times.
Well, I
Little
mean, I'm not
scene
saying that
here,
I
little scene there.
didn't
Yeah.
pick up a little
Oh,
bit
you
more
weren't-
here and there, but I didn't purposefully rewatch it.
Well, anyway, that's something you will have forgotten from the first
yeah.
one. It's when they are initially meeting in the helicopter, Catherine. You should remember that.
Well, I mean, I remember the chaos one because we recently talked about it, where Jeff Goldblum is doing the rolling water down Ellie Sadler, her hand.
I believe
Laura
that's
Dern's hand, yeah.
when they're on the tour in
It's
the
much later.
Ford Explorers.
Yeah,
So
it's later.
this is
But
very
that's why.
different.
But that's why chaos is embedded in my mind, but not the chaotician. Chaostician.
There's no S in it, apparently. A chaotician.
That's someone who
Chaotician.
applies chaos, like an esthetician.
Look, here's the best part. I'm probably getting it wrong, so whatever. But right, you have sort of the new people, Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard, along with the ones who
The OGs.
They didn't start it all. They were only there to assess. But the original stars, yes. So, and I mean, you get even, you get some new characters. You get the characters from the second Jurassic World. So they really bring almost everything together. And of course, BD Wong is a huge part of it.
I love
Love
B.D.
it.
Wong. He's so great.
From the
It's-
very beginning, his arc has been so fascinating. The first movie, he was just an assistant, basically, or he was heading up the lab, but we didn't feel
More like a tech or something,
Yeah,
yeah.
we didn't feel that
He wasn't in charge.
a villain yet.
Well, how did you gap the sequences in the DNA? Oh, we used frog DNA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, BD Wong. You ruin everything.
Yeah, well, it's true. Yeah, you don't get the feel that he's like second in command and totally, integral and important. But yes, apparently he always was.
B.D. Wong. Good for you.
Yeah, I mean,
between that and Law and Order, B.D. Wong, come on. So good. All right.
well, and what is it? The Freshman? No, it's not The Freshman. It's I always think of that Marlon Brando movie.
Oh, I think it
Well-
is the freshman.
They could have gone the freshman direction and had a special dinner for the
Oh, geez.
billionaires.
Yeah, I mean, that was the core idea in the freshman movie that John was just referencing, that they were eating endangered species as like
well,
a
they
club.
thought they
thought they were.
Technically, it was a nice chicken.
Oh, spoiler. I don't know if we're
Well, the
supposed to
last
for like this
40
old
years
movie.
later.
No, the last Jurassic Park movie, there is a whole billionaires club situation that is somewhat what you're hitting on. So
Are they hunting them?
there's an auction. There
Oh,
is an
okay.
element of it that is very much the
Good
billionaires
enough,
club.
Catherine.
Oh, I
And
don't
BD
know.
Wong is in that one. So I was going to say, actually, BD Wong, I think one of the things he was in the last few years that really was such a fascinating character was Mr. Robot.
Oh my gosh, I
White
was
Rose
just
in
thinking
yeah.
that. Mr. Robot, yeah.
That was fantastic.
He was great, yeah.
You have 1 minute.
Oh, God.
So look, there's more in this new Jurassic Park universe picture that you need to talk about and see, but I don't know. There's too much. I can't tell you.
Okay. Well, I do want to go see it. It's on my agenda. I need to make this happen.
Maybe it's a date night since Ethan already saw it. Maybe it's you and
Oh,
Mark.
that's
go
a good
see it.
idea. But yes, that's actually, maybe I'll do it tonight, Catherine. Love it.
Love that idea. Okay, Ed, you want to go next?
Sure. This is a new one for the series. We don't usually talk about this style of show, but a buddy of mine is working as an assistant editor on So You Think You Can Dance. And I just found it, and I'm like, you know what? I've watched about 10 seasons of the show back in the day. Let me fire it up. Let me see how it's doing on its season 17. And so I watched the first 6 episodes, which is right up to current. And that got us to the top 12 dancers, including an elimination, which was this week's episode. But also, I think Catherine might have some insight onto how this series works, because I think she worked for this show at one point.
I
and
did. I
edited.
worked on at least 2, maybe 3 seasons of it as an editor.
Nice.
Yeah, look, I was so impressed with the dancers on the show, and
Oh,
as
yeah.
a setup, it's really interesting to take all these dancers who have different backgrounds and training that they have learned a specific thing, and then have them try and all do different things. So
Well, and they're held to such a high caliber too.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not. It's no comparison to dance shows, but there's an expectation of both to be as professional, unlike Dancing with the Stars, where you've got one professional and one actor or a sports person. So these are all at least dancers, but it really is like, no, I'm tap.
Yeah.
So this is hard.
The challenge is often that there's ballroom dancers that are trying to do something more hip hop. There's ballet dancers who are trying to do, all sorts of. It's just
contemporary and like weird movements, and then you get into all the technical stuff where there's ballroom dancing or like stagey type or competitive type dancing, where there's like really specific things that you got to point your toes, you got to be arching your back, you got to be staring at the audience with both your eyes and your teeth, and you're like, what are these rules?
Yeah, I feel like the ballroom dancers are coming from a background of being so hyper trained that they often have a hard time loosening up to do things in other styles. And then the other dancers trying to go from like contemporary into ballroom, it's so hard and challenging for them to be that technical and that precise. And sometimes like the footwork is so crazy. It's like, oh, and they're all very young and amazing athletes. It's a good show.
Is Kat Deely still the host?
She is still hosting. I can't believe Kat Deely is still hosting. But it's great to see her back. But all the judges are different.
It was Nigel, Mary. Well, I mean, they did kind of switch it up.
Yeah,
but
they had that like third spot.
I feel like Nigel and Mary were the most consistent.
Yeah. So now it's got a previous contestant. Twitch is one of the mains.
I was an editor on his season. He was amazing.
He was great. I remember watching Twitch the season that he came up, and that was like, he was worth sticking around to watch. And I don't think he won that season, did he?
No.
Right. So now he's, just like an American Idol.
He's married to another contestant from So You Think You Can Dance.
That's right. I've definitely like caught some of the other media stuff that he's done over the years. So it's exciting to see him on there. And I don't really
JoJo Siwa.
Yeah, that's the other thing that I forgot about watching this show, which, if you don't keep up with a contemporary current show like this, you kind of lose the beat of the music that's going around. This show gives you probably 5 current relevant songs every single episode for like 6 months in a row. What's playing on the radio, what's popular, what people would be dancing to. Yeah, I don't know who JoJo Siwa is. I am not paying attention to whatever she does. She looks like a 12-year-old, which is, she's very young, I'm assuming, and still looks even younger than she actually is because she's not 12.
She is not 12. She is from Dance Moms, where she originally broke through, and she was literally a kid. Yeah, and then she did a very successful season of Dancing with the Stars, and she was amazing, and she was the first person to ever have a female and female partnership.
There you go.
So she could, because she had recently come out, I think maybe the year before that. And so it was a big deal for Dancing with the Stars to have a same-sex pairing like that. And they were phenomenal.
Yeah, well, that's one, when you go back to the season 1 or 2 of Dancing with the Stars, I mean, these people could not dance.
Yeah, that's not really what they do anymore.
Right. Yet the arc of watching them from the first episode to where you're down to the last 2 or 3 in the progress or the skills they actually develop were incredible, but they still were not amazing dancers. I mean, it wasn't. I mean, you have people. I mean,
sometimes you have like a ringer in there. You're like,
well, JoJo.
Yeah. Well, she was. That's a ringer for sure because she's like a dancer.
No, the last like 10, I don't know, plus seasons, if not more. Because I've gone to a couple live tapings of. I think both have actually done. I've gone to tapings of both just through different work associations. But there were times you go, well, who is the professional? I mean, it would get to the point they're so good. I mean. I don't know. Do you want to make this a side gig? And I mean, listen, they get so passionate, and you love watching, someone like a butterfly come out of their cocoon and have the best time performing, or if they've gone through so many challenges in their life, like this, making them feel stronger is just amazing. I actually was just at a brunch, and from So You Think You Can Dance, one of the contestants, Mark, hold on.
Oh, I think I know who you're going to say.
So Mark Kanamura, he was one of those dancers that had a crazy audition, which you could still find online. So fun to watch him. I think he went very, very far. And then he's...
Oh, yeah, I remember him.
Yeah. And he's
I think I was working that season, too.
Yeah.
I remember him very
great
clearly.
Look, all that. And he now dances or did backup for Lady Gaga and has had a real career and has a really fun persona on Instagram. His Instagram is MKIK808. I follow him on Instagram, and that's sort of where I reconnected with him. And the world's so bizarre because I was in New York, and just walking on the street, and I saw him, and I'm like, oh my gosh, hi, Mark. And he's like, who the hell are you?
No one you know.
I'm like, I'm a huge
I love you.
fan, and he's LGBTQ plus and a huge, advocate and activist. And so I was like, oh my gosh, thank you for all you do, and I think you're amazing. He's like, oh wow, okay, thank you. Then flash forward, 2.5, 3 years, I walk into his brunch last week, and there he is again. So I said, hi. I go, I bumped into you in New York a few years ago, but this is my husband. We love you. And Mark, I had to tell him, my husband's not on social media. So this is the guy that does the dancing with the wigs and the rainbow flags and the fans. My Mark goes, oh my God, Mark. So he loved it. But, he... really nice guy, and he was one of the first few people that I remember really standing out on So You Think You Can Dance. And I think going on to have a professional career as a dancer.
Well, that's the hope for all of these young people on
or choreographer.
Yeah. Or that's the core difference between Dancing with the Stars and So You Think You Can Dance. Dancing with the Stars is really, you've got professional ballroom dancers, and then you've got celebrities of whatever level, with or without any kind of training that might be useful, competing on a live platform, doing almost exclusively ballroom dancing. I mean, they mix it up a little bit, but really it's ballroom dancing.
You need to have that background.
Yeah, the professionals for sure on Dancing with the Stars, they're ballroom people. That's the focus of that show. Where So You Think You Can Dance, it is the multiple different styles and it trying to embrace all of these young dancers who want to be professional, who want to have a career in this, and taking whatever it is that they've studied and gotten good at and see if they can translate it. And that's the kind of competition element of it. So, I mean, being a professional dancer as an outcome for having been on So You Think You Can Dance is the goal. It's huge, and some of them do. They go on to be on Broadway. This Mark is a great example. There's
lead dancer for Lady Gaga.
Yep.
And or host of the actual series itself,
coming back and hosting,
not a ballroom person.
And interestingly, Twitch was the DJ for Ellen's show for many years, and he would dance with her. She had that dancing thing in the beginning. So You Think You Can Dance is a different idea because it is taking, it's the what is it, the wish fulfillment, like hope dream kind of
show. A little more amateur level, whereas Dancing with the Stars, you have the professionals and then you have the celebrities.
Yeah,
I was always so impressed by the professional dancers because they had to choreograph every week. And they have to choreograph in a way that the celebrity will look good and can actually do the steps. And thank you. They introduced us to the dynamic duo, brother and sister, Juliana and Derek Huff.
Yeah.
I mean, those two, not to be, although so talented, triple threats, both of them, I don't know that they would have a career if it wasn't for that show.
It was very helpful. It gave them such a platform.
Footloose was great.
Footloose came after.
Well, she got cut from Harry Potter.
She got cut from Harry Potter? What?
What? You haven't heard that story?
No.
Yeah, I forget what the deal is. She was with some, I don't know if she was at a academy or I don't think it was more of like a private situation, whatever. She was getting coaching in the UK and they were like, we need extras. And then, so she was an extra for a minute and I'm pretty sure she got cut. I could be wrong about everything.
I think she or her brother have said that there's a 2-second part you can see them in the background, but no.
That's funny.
But that is, who would have known, honestly, how talented they were. And she's definitely been able to parlay it into movies and opportunities.
For sure.
Their Christmas special last year was nothing but a little bit of a joy. It was just it was an old school, I'm sure it was the Osmonds, Marie and Donnie was the inspo, but it was very fun.
Well, if you haven't seen Safe Haven, romantic drama, not comedy, you should.
Did you actually?
Oh yeah, I'm talking about this because I haven't seen it or watched it multiple times.
My gosh,
multiple times, of course.
I don't like Nicholas Spark things.
But
no, that's so funny because I'm not a huge Nicholas Sparks fan. But
Dickless?
What?
It's like Nicholas. It sounds like Dickless. Sorry.
Be an entirely different series of books and movies. Hi, I'm Dickless Sparks.
God. That's his porn name. Okay, anyways. All right, so Ed, you were watching Dancing. Very fascinating.
Yeah, and I got all the fun episodes, which are the auditions when you're really like, ooh, is that person going to make it? And you're like, I'm immediately signing on for that person. So my vote is for Essence to win the whole thing. You heard it here first.
Oh, wait. All right. He went on record. Essence is his pick. All right, so last up is me. I finished the new series by Melissa McCarthy and her husband Ben Falcone.
Oh,
God's Favorite Idiot. It is very fun, and I really enjoyed it.
Is she wearing a wig? Because she likes a wig.
I assume it's a wig. She's got a very purposeful look that is not her normal look, and a very Melissa McCarthy vibe and character. She's kind of brusque and really extreme and hilarious. And Ben Falcone, the premise of the series is that he is a very nice guy who gets sort of tasked by an angel to spread the word of the Lord. And the word of the Lord being very simple, which is be nice to each other. And there's this battle, I guess, going on in heaven that they're not really seeing, but the angel tells them, like, things are not really good right now. There's a battle going on in heaven. The guy who plays the angel, I don't know if anybody would remember him. He was on Gilmore Girls. He was like the manager of the hotel, maybe. He's great. Love him. So that was the angel. Leslie Bibb is playing the devil. I think she technically is Satan, and then she might have a boss that is Beelzebub or Lucifer. There's multiple.
We don't quite have it down here on Earth. Don't worry about my boss structure.
Right. So she's not in charge. She is Satan, but she's not in charge. And there's a fantastic cameo, like quick little thing near the end, which, basically, I'm going to spoil it right now because Michael McDonald directed the first 4, something like that. And then he shows up as her boss, and he's a real...
Oh, we love him.
It's so great. I mean, we have that hilarious story that he told when we did Jillian's podcast.
Right.
Ask Jillian. So Michael McDonald comes on and he's talking about knowing Melissa McCarthy and Ben Falcone when they were in improv class.
Groundlings.
Yes. And scaring the shit out of them.
Because he was teaching them.
Right. He was their teacher. And it came up because when he was in The Heat, somebody had asked Melissa McCarthy, we're thinking of using Michael McDonald as the bad guy. Can he pull that off? And
she's like, scary?
Yeah. And she's like, he is the scariest person ever. And then tells this story where he basically is out to drinks with them and just looks at the two of them and says, I know you two are fucking, and then turns away. And then the two of them are like, because
they're students and they're trying not to blur the line.
Oh my God, it's so funny. Anyway, so of course I thought of that because I was like, yeah.
That's awesome.
A terrifying bad guy and a lot of directing.
Which we also found out during that podcast. He is kind of a triple threat, writing, acting, and directing.
Yeah, he's amazing. I mean, yeah, and hearing him talk about it made it so much more clear. I hadn't really nailed it down in my head, everything that he was doing. And then, he directed 6 episodes of the 8. So it's 8 episodes right now, and season 1 is available on the Netflix. Yeah, it's very fun and enjoyable. I liked it a lot. There's also a woman who is from New Zealand and is using her true New Zealand accent. So I love that a lot too. Is this comedic actress, Anna Scotney, something like that. Anyway, she's great. I looked her up. I didn't know anything else that she'd done. So good for her. And the guy playing his dad, Ben Falcone's dad, Kevin Dunn from 1,000 things, but mostly from Veep. People might know him.
Yeah.
He's great. And anyway, so I finished
8 episodes, literally about a half an hour in length.
Yeah,
each.
they're shorties. It was a very quick, but so enjoyable and fun. And they
wrote it, right? They wrote or produced it. I mean,
it's their project. So he is credited. Ben Falcone is credited as the writer and creator. So it's his baby.
I mean, Melissa's been busy the last 2 years during COVID. So
it's very cute.
He is the one talking to God, so he should be credited with creator.
Yeah, he's very cute in it, and watching them together is very fun. Even though she's playing a character that you're like, how does he like her? Supposedly, because she's real brusque. I don't know. Anyway, it was fun though. And then the other thing I finished was The Time Traveler's Wife on HBO. So that's now the series with Rose Leslie and Theo James. Yeah. And I had not watched the movie previously, so
I think I read the book and saw that movie from quite a few years ago, which had Eric Bana, I think.
Eric Bana.
Right.
Go ahead, John. You want to say it. I know you do.
I won't say it.
Oh, say it.
Rachel McAdams.
Rachel McAdams.
Boom.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
I did kind of like that movie.
It's interesting because I did a real Catherine where I watched Time Traveler's Wife, and since it's HBO, it was one episode a week, so it took a while to, it puts the brakes on. You can't just burn through it. And in between, I was like, oh, maybe I need to listen to this book. So I checked the book out from the library. So I listened to the whole book. And then the movie is also available on, I forget which streaming service currently, but I think it's HBO. That makes sense. So I also watched the movie. And I will say that a longer format is much more helpful when you're trying to tell a story of such big scope. So
Right.
the series is beautifully shot. It is really interesting, especially since I didn't know all of the time travel rules that they were going to implement. Because a lot of times it's like, you can't be with yourself. This is like, oh no, he's with himself like constantly, bumping into his old versions, bumping into younger and older and all that. And also in this current version, this streaming version, there's so much naked Theo James butt in it.
Yeah, because every time he lands anywhere, he's naked.
He has no
Yeah.
clothes on.
Eric Bana was the same way. It was a real treat.
Yeah. This is like times a gajillion. How much naked, sweaty. Yeah.
More exciting than that.
Yeah.
Not really, but whatever. So are they? It's a plot point, but is there that incident where he's constantly coming back to that one incident? So it's like, I've been there so many times.
Yes, and that's handled really well in the TV series, where having just watched the movie by comparison was not as...
They didn't have enough time,
Yeah.
Catherine. Jeez.
Well, it's weird because like when you listen to a book is so much material
Right.
that if you're trying to cram it into a 2-hour movie, you have to lose some stuff. And
Right.
it's the wrong stuff. Doesn't make
So
it.
because this got mixed reviews, which made me not as intrigued to watch it. You did enjoy it.
I did enjoy it. It's not perfect,
Yeah.
but it's still really enjoyable. I really like Rose Leslie. I liked the look of it. I thought the pacing was really good.
She's in Game of Thrones and also Downton Abbey.
Yes.
Downton Abbey.
Yeah, Downton Abbey. So, and Theo James, very good. I really liked it, and it didn't take that long to watch. They're closer to hour episodes,
okay.
all of them, and it's 6 episodes, so it does go pretty quick. So that's what I have been watching. Gosh, okay, we covered a lot.
I want to say one more thing about that. I think that's interesting because the last episode, John was talking about a slightly less fun multiple guy. What was the movie Men? Where one guy is in it a billion times. So interesting. Time Traveler's Wife, not the same thing where he's running into himself, younger, older, but interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's we covered a lot. I think we can wrap it up there. So I watched Time Traveler's Wife and God's Favorite Idiot. And Liz,
We both watched Spiderhead.
we both watched Spiderhead.
And Hustle, which is on Netflix. And then I was on the Mormon documentary road. I will say, though, just one more takeaway, especially when it came to keep, sweet, pray, and obey, because of women's rights and watching this. You really had to say, you're lucky where and who you're born to, and that, religion can get so warped on its agenda. And some of these, very young women in, like I said, it's the Church of Latter-day Saints, it's the fundamentalist LDS with Warren Jeffs, who's serving, I think, a lifetime in jail for, sorry to end on this note, but like rape of a minor. It just makes you go, gosh, you know what? The land of the free and separation of church and state, those are not things we should be taking for granted. And you are very lucky if you are born to a family or in a place in life where you are allowed choices, because the women in this documentary were really not.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But it's still fascinating to know, because you're just a part of the world. It could be right next to you and you just have no idea that this is what is happening.
I think that's what good documentaries do. They really open up something that you probably would have no other way of knowing about in that
and like
kind
I said,
of
if you
level.
watch all of them, they're so different, all the different ones. Like, because the Mormon Church loves their paper trails and going back. And even though it's not that old of a religion, it loves to find old archival information. And so how that gets twisted on them is just was fascinating. And the other documentary that I watched So there you go. Like I said, I don't know why I got sucked. And every time my husband would come in the room, he's like, "What? Why are you watching anything on Mormons?" But he actually liked Murder Among the Mormons. So that's the one about all the finding old documents of the Mormon faith.
Interesting. Okay, and John?
I saw in the theater Jurassic World Dominion, but I also
gotta
watched
go do it. Yeah.
Jurassic Part 2.
Right. And Ed?
And I watched So You Think You Can Dance.
Yeah, which I approve of that. I love
Yes,
it.
it's got
I
a
think that's
big old
great.
mix bag.
I love it. All right. Well, that's it for this episode of What We Are Watching. Thank you for listening. And please follow us on all of our social at Podcast Watching. And you can join us on Patreon, become a patron. And that's where we talk about stuff that maybe we didn't like so much, or just, we got a download on all the other stuff we're watching.
Yes.
So join us on Patreon. Thanks for listening to What We Are Watching.